Alibaba Vanga's predictions for 2025 and revelations about the apocalypse. Baba Vanga, one of the most enigmatic and controversial figures of the 20th century, left a legacy of predictions that continue to intrigue the world. Blind since childhood, the Bulgarian mystic claimed to have visions of the future, many of them related to global catastrophes and transformations in humanity. Among her prophecies for 2025, there are parallels that many relate to the biblical signs of the end times and the Book of Revelation. But what exactly did she predict, and how do these visions echo the apocalyptic events described in the Bible? Let's dive into this mystery. For 2025, one of the visions attributed to Baba Vanga involves a major change in the Earth's orbit. This event, although scientifically unlikely, has sparked discussions about its catastrophic impacts. Changes in orbit could cause climatic extremes, such as scorching or freezing temperatures, as well as devastating natural disasters. Curiously, in the Book of Revelation, we find descriptions of disturbing cosmic events, stars falling from the sky, the sun darkening, and the moon becoming like blood. Could Baba Vanga's vision symbolize an alignment with these biblical descriptions? For many, the answer lies in interpreting the texts as metaphors that echo real and terrifying changes on Earth. Another aspect of his visions is the idea of a radical scientific breakthrough in 2025, which could lead to a new era of genetic engineering. Vanga suggested that scientists could begin to completely control life, altering human DNA to unimaginable levels. This prediction is reminiscent of the warnings in the Book of Revelation about the dangers of the quest for divine power, a narrative in which humanity tries to usurp the role of God. Could this extreme intervention in genetics be the final sin that precipitates judgment? Or could it be the fulfillment of prophecies that warn against human arrogance and its consequences? In one of his more apocalyptic visions, Baba Vanga also spoke of a great global war on the horizon. Although this prediction is vague, it is impossible not to link it to visions of conflicts in the Book of Revelation, such as the final battle of Armageddon. The divided world, ideological conflicts, and the struggle for power are central themes in both narratives. In addition, the Bible describes wars that will bring famine, death, and destruction, all consequences of a world war, as Vanga predicted. The question remains, are we approaching a point of no return, or are these visions a warning to seek peace? Another intriguing vision by Baba Vanga mentions of significant contact with extraterrestrial civilizations in 2025. Although this may seem absurd to some, the Book of Revelation speaks of signs in the heavens and phenomena that terrify humanity. Is it possible that the reference to stars falling and powerful beings descending to Earth is connected to modern interpretations of extraterrestrial life? For believers, this could be seen as a test of faith, an attempt to divert humanity from focusing on God and the divine plan. As we reflect on these visions, it's important to remember that Baba Vanga never claimed that the world would end in 2025. Instead, she suggested that major events would bring humanity to a moment of choice, to move closer to our spiritual essence or to face the consequences of our actions. Similarly, the Book of Revelation is not only a book of destruction, but also of hope and redemption, promising a new heaven and a new earth for those who remain faithful. Finally, there is a common point that unites Baba Vanga's predictions and the signs of the apocalypse: the call to spiritual awakening. Both the mystic's visions and the biblical texts serve as warnings. What are we doing with our planet, our scientific advances, and our human relationships? Are we prepared to face the challenges ahead, both physically and spiritually? And now, I ask you, are these visions a warning or an inevitable prophecy? Share your opinion and reflect on what we can do to create a better future. After all, perhaps the real lesson lies in how we react to these messages, rather than in trying to predict tomorrow. Could Baba Vanga's predictions for 2025 and the apocalypse just be a coincidence? What do you think? For those who don't know about the prophecies of the apocalypse, below is a very detailed outline of the 10 most frightening prophecies announcing the end of the world. But are you prepared for this revelation? Have you ever wondered what might happen at the end of time? What if I told you that one of the oldest and most mysterious texts in the world has already described, in detail, events that defy our imagination. The book of Revelation, the last in the Bible, is full of enigmatic messages, terrifying prophecies, and images that blend mystery and terror. Today, we're going to dive together into the 10 scariest prophecies in this book. But first, let us know in the comments. Do you believe that the apocalypse is literal, symbolic, or a mixture of the two? I want to know your opinion as we explore these chilling events. Now, take a deep breath, because what follows will make you question everything you believe. Let's start with one of the book's most famous images, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Imagine this scene. 4 horsemen on different colored horses, each bringing a different kind of destruction. The first, on the white horse, represents conquest and deception. He comes with a crown and a bow, but his victory is treacherous. The second, on the red horse, brings war and conflict. He removes peace from the earth, and people begin to turn against each other. The third, on the black horse, represents hunger. He holds a scale, symbolizing scarcity and inequality, where bread becomes so expensive that few can afford it. And finally, the yellow horse, which symbolizes death and hell, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. Now I ask you, which of these horsemen do you think is already with us? Leave your opinion below. As we reflect on this, we move on to the next shocking event, the opening of the 7 seals. Each seal opened brings an even greater catastrophe. When the 6th seal is broken, imagine this, an earthquake so great that the mountains and islands move from their places. The sky darkens, the moon turns blood red, and the stars seem to fall from the sky. Now close your eyes and visualize a world in complete chaos. People from all walks of life, from kings to serfs, are hiding in caves, crying out for the mountains to cover them. And I ask you, have we already seen signs like this? Could the natural disasters we're facing today be a harbinger of things to come? But wait, it gets worse. We have reached the Great Tribulation, described as the darkest period in human history, a time of unimaginable suffering, where persecution of the faithful is relentless and devastating plagues ravage the earth. This is the moment when the faith of many will be put to the test. Now think with me. How would you react in such a scenario? Would you let your faith guide you, or would you give in to despair? I want you to think about it and share it in the comments. And as events unfold, we see the fall of Babylon, described as the embodiment of corruption and decay. Babylon is presented as a luxurious city, but also as a symbol of oppression and greed. Its destruction is so striking that kings, merchants, and sailors mourn its loss, as it represented the center of trade and wealth. But here's the important point. Is Babylon just a city, or can it symbolize corrupt systems that we know today? What do you think? After that, we are introduced to the 7 bowls of God's wrath. Imagine plagues so devastating that no part of the planet is left unscathed. The waters become blood, the sun becomes so hot that it burns people, and a suffocating darkness covers everything. These bowls are described as the final judgment on those who have rejected the divine ways. And now I ask you, could these plagues be interpreted as something literal, or are they symbolic of problems we face, such as pollution and climate change? And then we come to Armageddon, the final battle between the forces of good and evil. The book of Revelation describes a battlefield where armies gather for an epic confrontation. The scene is so brutal that the blood reaches the horses' bridles. But what makes this battle so symbolic is that it not only represents a physical war, but also a spiritual struggle for the soul of humanity. Now think, how would you position yourself in this conflict? Which side would you choose? And when the 7th angel blows his trumpet, time as we know it comes to an end. This is the moment when the kingdom of God is established, but also the moment of final judgment. Imagine looking back on your life and seeing every decision being evaluated. This is the moment when there is no more room for excuses or regrets. I want you to think now. How have you been living? Do your choices today reflect something you would like to see in this judgment? And speaking of judgment, we have arrived at the great white throne, where all the dead are raised to face God's judgment. Books are opened, and each person is judged for their actions. Those whose names are not in the book of life are cast into the lake of fire, a fate described as eternal separation from God. Does this idea scare you or make you reflect on the importance of your choices? But even in the face of so much destruction, there is a message of hope. After 1,000 years in prison, Satan is finally and definitively defeated. He is cast into the lake of fire, symbolizing the end of evil and the absolute victory of good. This event represents a new beginning, where humanity can finally live without the influence of evil. And finally, the apocalypse ends with a vision of a new heaven and a new earth, a place where there will be no more pain, tears, or death, a place of eternal peace, created for those who have persevered. This is the final message. Suffering is not the end, but only a path to something much greater and more beautiful. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these prophecies impacted you the most? Do you believe that the apocalypse is a warning, an enigma, or a reality that is already being fulfilled? Leave a comment, like and share this video with someone who needs to hear these messages. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. See you next time.